They are begging us for help. They are begging us just for the moral support to say that we understand that they deserve to not have their businesses and their lives taken by the Communist Party, that if you're not in the party, they take everything from you, the Communist Mafia, and saying we don't want to be secretly arrested and taken to the mainland. We don't want a social credit score. But as they fight tyranny there in Hong Kong and Taiwan, we're fighting it here as the global social score comes to America. Drudge is top link to our story. We'll cover the global social score modeled in China, brought to America on the other side.
InfoWars. The most banned network in the world.
Globalism is a system designed to undermine humanity, make us dependent, domesticated, to then take over existing orders and then build new anti-human, post-human systems on top of it. That is the transhumanist Luciferian cult. Jeffrey Epstein is a disgusting window into precisely what I told you their agenda is. My agenda is a pro-human future all the way, not just interstellar, but interdimensional. Now, I'm going to go to this Fox Business piece here that eloquently breaks down what's really happening. But you've got to go to Fox Business more and more to hear anything decent, because as Trump has pointed out, Fox News is going down the tubes because they made the deal with Disney, they split up, they got the tens of billions of dollars, and the sniping and the undermining and the fake polls is absolutely outrageous. Trump has real polls. He knows he's more popular than ever, and he knows that Fox News has turned against him just like they did right towards the end of the last campaign. So we've got that Trump clip coming up as well. But China gets all the high-speed rail. China gets all the new jobs, no environmental standards. China gets to have one-sided tariffs against us and devalue their currency. We don't get any new railroads, any new factories. Look at the blue cities where the Democrats are in full control. It's undermined civilization, collapsed society, so people don't believe in national capitalism. It's so they embrace socialism that's really globalist, corporate, crony fascism, where they're offshore, they've got trillions, but they use socialist models domestically to control you. So Paul Watson put it out perfectly. Hong Kong versus Portland. East is the new West. East is the new West. They haven't had their renaissance yet, like we did 200 plus years ago. We're spoiled brats that forgot what we had. They've been through hell. And they now are on the same path as our ancestors in waving American flags. And it's absolutely beautiful. But here is Mr. Varney on Fox Business telling it like it is.
Here's something that caught my eye in our Hong Kong coverage yesterday. Protesters waving American flags. And as you heard at the top of the show, those protesters, some of them, those there, they were singing America's national anthem. Joining us now is Marion Smith with the Victims of Communism Memorial Foundation. The waving of flags, the singing of our anthem. What does that tell you?
Well, I think the Hong Kong protesters are drawing a distinction that is really at the core of this crisis. And that is there are two systems here that are contradictory. One is the totalitarian system of the People's Republic of China, where more than 1 billion people are under the thumb of the Chinese Communist Party, and where there is no freedom, and where if you were to wave an American flag and sing our national anthem, you would be detained or worse.
It was
on the other hand is the United States and our flag and the freedoms that it represents, and Hong Kong people have enjoyed those freedoms for generations and have never been ruled by the Communist Party, and they're saying they don't want to be ruled by the Communist Party now, and that's the essence of the crisis here.
What they want, what the demonstrators want, is the resignation of Carrie Lam, Hong Kong's chief executive, and her replacement to be freely elected, with candidates not chosen by Beijing. That's what they want. That's why they're flying the American flag. You think that, I mean, what are the odds that they actually get that?
Well, they have a list of 5 or 6 demands. One is the resignation of the chief executive, Carrie Lam. The other is the withdrawal of the extradition bill, which really was the catalyst for this protest movement this year, in which some 20% of the population of Hong Kong has taken to the streets. That is no insignificant fringe group that is protesting. That really does represent a significant portion, if not the majority, of the Hong Kong people. Support for the protesters is even higher than 20%, of course. But they're also calling for the release of the political prisoners, as they're calling them now, who have been arrested as part of this protest movement, which overwhelmingly has been peaceful on the protesters' part. But we have seen beatings by the police. We have seen the blinding of at least one person due to short-range shooting of rubber bullets and beanbags.
Marion, I'm sorry, I gotta go. I'm really short on time. Let's see what develops today after the Hong Kong authorities try to buy the demonstrators off. Marion.
Now, again, I said earlier, there's 4 articles, 4 different developments that go together. The fact that we've been deindustrialized and that China hasn't. The fact that blue cities give you an advanced view of where the left's going to take us. Collapse by design to make us be their dependent slaves. The fact that we are being turned against each other and balkanized with all the investments going over there. And then we have these panopticonic surveillance grids coming in for total control to track everything we do, where corporations and governments add to a database on whether they say you're a good person or a bad person, and then you're even barred from having a job, owning a car, traveling on high-speed rail. It's linked up on drudgereport.com. Chinese social media credit score prevents 2.5 million discredited entities and humans, more than 9 million humans, from buying plane tickets. So that's the final icing on that cake. But speaking of President Trump, he's beginning to wake up to this. And he sees the neocons and people like Scaramucci making their move, and he sees Fox putting out the most anti-Trump polls out there, which we know are to create a bandwagon effect. So it's believed that Trump's a loser, so everyone then supports one of the moronic Democrat candidates. This is all about manipulating people that are followers and don't know that the polls are as phony as a plastic banana or a $3 bill. Here's the president.
Well, Fox has always given me, I'll tell you, Fox is a lot different than it used to be, I can tell you that. Juan Williams, then they have the wonderful woman that gave Hillary Clinton the questions. That was a terrible thing. And all of a sudden she's working for Fox. What's she doing working for Fox? Fox has changed, and my worst polls have always been from Fox. There's something going on at Fox, I'll tell you right now, and I'm not happy with it. I don't know what's happening with Fox, but when they have like a Juan Williams who's never said a positive thing, and yet when I show up at the Fox building, he's out there, oh, sir, could I have a picture with you? Could I have a picture? And he was 100% nice. I mean, you've never asked me for a picture.
I have not. Should the Murdochs change the management at Fox, or should they bring...
No, they have to run it the way they want to run it. But Fox is different. There's no question about it. And I think they're making a big mistake, because Fox was treated very badly by the Democrats. Very, very badly, having to do with the debates and other things. And I think Fox is making a big mistake because, you know, I'm the one that calls the shots on the really big debates. I guess we're probably planning on 3 of them. And I'm not happy with Fox. I'm certainly happy. I think Sean Hannity and Lou Dobbs, and I think Tucker Carlson and Laura and Jesse Waters and Janine. We have a lot of great people. Even Greg Gutfeld, he wasn't good to me 2 years ago. Now he sees all I've done. He said, would you rather have a great president or a nice guy? I don't know. I think I'm a nice guy. But nobody's done in 2.5 years what I've done. And I say that a lot, and very few people can challenge it. The first 2.5 years, nobody's done what I've done in terms of tax cuts, regulation cuts, the military, the vets, the choice, so many different things. Nobody's done that. Yeah.
All right. I know a lot of the top Fox people. Some of them I talk to a couple times a week. And I'm not at liberty to tell you what it's like there, but 80% of the employees are Democrats. They're leaking everything. They're lying. The Dems send women in to try to get men to hit on them. So men will not be in any rooms with women alone now at Fox. It's a war zone. And they call Sean Hannity and others, Tucker Carlson and others, they chew them out. By the way, Carlson is not on administrative leave. He was on a planned vacation. I can tell you that 100%. That's not true. I learned that last week, but I never even got around to it. But you hear all this, and it's just a total war on anybody that isn't against the country. And they send Antifa to your house, you know, all the stuff they do. And so Trump's waking up to Fox. Fox is run by a bunch of scum. There's 4 big events taking place that all tie together. They're all part of the same agenda. You see, the communist Chinese run an authoritarian command and control system. So they've been given U.S. technology that's been suppressed for 70 years for trains that go 300 miles an hour, ladies and gentlemen. Think about that. Think about that long and hard. They've been given all the technology, all the science, all the perks, all the one-sided trade deals, the Panama Canal, the rare earth minerals, everything. And they've built the equivalent of what this nation built in the last 100 years, just in the last 25. Think about that. Think about that long, and think about that hard. And then meanwhile, every blue city in the United States is falling apart and in a state of designed neglect, with record funding flowing into those cities and into those regions, and rich ultra elites feeding off the population and shipping drugs and crime into those areas. A designed takedown, a designed collapse. Look at these headlines. Wall Street Journal. While we talk about these cities being crap holes 10 years ago, we were conspiracy theorists. But now, California's biggest cities confront a defecation crisis. Rats, disease, crime, homeless shelters everywhere. Joe Rogan described living in LA like it's Day of the Dead. Every major road, every major street, everywhere, homeless. And most of them don't want jobs. They're on drugs, they're on alcohol. They go cash their checks, their welfare checks, and they buy their drugs from government-approved drug dealers who then launder the money through Democratic Party businesses. And they run the coyotes, they run the smugglers, they run the child kidnapping, they run it all. And the cities are collapsing, and our average rail bed only allows our trains to go at 42 miles an hour. The average train in China, 200 miles an hour. Some can go 300. But it was decided by the 60s that the United States would not have any more industrial development. We would be made a service economy to bring us to our knees for the global order. That's the admitted declassified world government plan. Now, 2 minutes to midnight, Trump's trying to pull the rug out from under all of this. But when you look at the designed collapse, new article on Infowars.com, Seattle parks becoming no-go areas because of homelessness and trash. We've got the tourism down 80+% in France because it's the same thing. Paul Watson's tweet says it all. East is the new West. You see Antifa flying communist flags. And then you see in Hong Kong thousands of people out with American flags and Pepe the Frog. So the Renaissance is happening in the West again, but it hasn't been triggered yet fully. But it already happened here. Now it's beginning to happen in Asia because they've already hit rock bottom, and they have communist China threatening to invade Hong Kong and Taiwan, already sending in paramilitary into Hong Kong, massing hundreds of thousands of troops and armored vehicles now for part 2 of Tiananmen Square and Tank Man. But with Tank Man in Tiananmen Square, that was only one person that really stood up and shut down all those tanks. If you look at the demonstrations Let's go back to Tank Man, please. If you look at the demonstrations, over 1 million people have been showing up a day in Hong Kong alone. And why is that? Because Hong Kong and Taiwan are the main place that the brain trust and the entrepreneurs and the freedom lovers who were in China and saw the mass murder of the communists coming, and they fled hoping that Chiang Kai-shek and the U.S. would stop the communists who were not elected and who then communalized the farms and killed over 100 million of their own people. They fled to Hong Kong. They fled to Taiwan, that had both been British back in the past and had some semblance of freedom. And now those nations, those autonomous zones, have much higher output than China per capita and incredible wealth and investment, and the Chi-Coms want it. They're not the Chinese people. They don't represent the Chinese culture. They represent the poisonous, globalist system inflicted on the Russians, inflicted on so many other countless nations. Venezuela, more wealthy than the U.S. per capita until the socialists took over. Now a virtual hellhole. A real hellhole. And so you think about that, and you think about the two parallels, everyone sees it, and so many leftists see this, and they go, what are non-whites doing waving that white supremacist flag? It's not a white supremacist flag. Betsy Ross that designed it was an abolitionist. It's insane. Everything's upside down world. Because people that know history know that it was the United States that beat the biggest empire ever. And the Taiwanese and the Hong Kong folks, they want away from the British as well. And they get it, and they say, we want 1776. We want 1776 worldwide. We want freedom. And it's a beautiful thing to see it unfold. Again, you can go to Infowars.com and Newswars.com. There's even a Fox Business piece that does a great job showing what was first dozens is now hundreds and then thousands of American flags as a symbol of what it used to mean. And now that the world sees America trying to become America again, we're that rallying point against tyranny. Our own governments have sold out the folks in Hong Kong and the people in Taiwan. We first promised them, if you go there, you'll be safe. 70 years ago. 70 years ago this year. 1949. 1950. And now, they are begging us for help. They are begging us just for the moral support to say that we understand that they deserve to not have their businesses and their lives taken by the Communist Party, that if you're not in the party, they take everything from you, the Communist Mafia, and saying we don't want to be secretly arrested and taken to the mainland. We don't want a social credit score. But as they fight tyranny there in Hong Kong and Taiwan, we're fighting it here as the global social score comes to America. This is important. I'm 45 years old. When I was 35, I swam up to 2 miles a day sometimes and would jog and couldn't lose weight because I didn't have the missing links. I was deficient in things that nobody ever told me I was deficient in. I knew all about the private Federal Reserve, the Trilateral Commission, the New World Order, Jeffrey Epstein and the pedophile rings. I knew all about geopolitical systems and the old Soviet Union and how the globals put the Chi-Coms in. But I didn't know about PQQ. I didn't know about CoQ10. I didn't know about all this. And I didn't know about clean iodine. And yeah, I want to fund my operation. I want you to get products that have changed my life and changed so many other people's lives, that have 98% reviews, and then experience that I'm not BSing you. So that for some of you, maybe in the first time in your life, you're going to experience somebody that treats you like they want to be treated. Let me tell you something right now. You see DNA Force? I went out to top manufacturers, they're the most respected, most highly tested, and I said, I want the strongest PQQ, CoQ10 overall formula that has pure, non-synthetic stuff in it that's ever been put on the market. And they said, well, that's like a $22 each bottle. I said, I want to put $50 a bottle in. They said, nobody's ever done that. Then I signed a contract to double the amount I was going to buy. I got it down to $30-something a bottle for what it cost me to make this. Nobody does that. Ladies and gentlemen, you read what's in this and you research every ingredient in this, and then you experience it for yourself, it's incredible.
InfoWars presents The David Knight Show, The Alex Jones Show, and The War Room with Owen Schroyer. Infowars.com/show.
Alex,
Yes.
I got a plug for the Patriot points I get.
Oh, thanks.
I've gotten $180 so far this year in Patriot Point, and I feel like I'm stealing from you. I buy so much in the store because, I mean, I don't want to give that money to Walmart. I don't want to give that money to people who are going to donate it to causes I don't believe in, so I'd rather give that money to you. And I'm getting quality product. The products that I do receive have changed my life. I mean, the X2 has really done a lot for me. I've lost weight. My brain works a whole lot better. My kids, they use the toothpaste. My son used to get these little sore throats, and he puts X2 in water and drinks it, and it gets rid of his sore throat.
Well, sir, let me break this down for you. I've never really done marketing, but I did bring in a few advertising people a few years ago who knew how to advertise online, and they said, Mr. Jones, they said, what's your markup? And I said 150%, but we always discount 25%, so that's 100%. And they said, yeah, and then you're always discounting 20, 30%, and then we notice you only sell stuff when it's at 50%, and then you're barely making any money. You need to stop that. And they looked at our data, and they said, oh, your audience would buy it if it was even more. And I said, I want high-quality stuff in there. I want a good price. But I've kind of habituated everybody, trained everybody, myself done this, to where everybody buys when it's 50% off. I'm making $2 on the toothpaste at 50% off because there's no fillers, it's concentrated, it's got iodine, a little silver. And so it's the same thing like the fish oil or the turmeric or the bone broth. I mean, DNA Force, I signed a multi-year contract on that. So I was able to cut the price about 40% of what we were paying. It's still got $30-something of product in it. I mean, you talk about cleaning your cells out, you talk about energy stamina, you talk about letting the telomeres last longer. This is patented to do that, and nobody puts this much of the real organic stuff in it. So yes, DNA Force is amazing. Thank you so much for the plugs. But listen, when people get the Patriot points, a lot of times it makes things a loss leader, because if you're already getting 10% off because you're on auto ship, and then we're doing 50% off, and then you do something like that where you have Patriot points, we lose money, but that's okay. So thanks for the support.